Hello, friends. Thank you for joining me for this week's episode. I'm Kathy Rhodes, and we're going to think differently today with my friend Stephanie Richardson. I'm so very excited and honored that I'm able to, first of all, have a friendship and a connection with her, but also to be able to interview her here for our podcast, because she is one who definitely thinks differently. I've known Stephanie for years, and for many years it was from afar. So I share a fun story in the interview that she didn't even realize on how I kind of stalked her a little bit. But through the years we have a lot in common. Okay, we were both in Pampered Chef for 20 some years. We're both leadership speakers and trainers and coaches. So we have this connection, but it's only been in the recent years that I've really been able to connect with Stephanie and travel with her and learn with her and stay connected on a routine basis. She challenges me. And I know that when you listen to this episode, you're going to hear things in her. You're going to hear comments and things that she does that, she up-levels anybody that she connects with. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for learning and thinking differently with us. I can't wait to hear what you learned from Stephanie as well. Okay, I'm very excited, obviously, to always talk to my friends. But Stephanie, I'll totally be transparent. I'm going to kind of like blush a little bit. I've always stalked you from afar before we really got to know each other.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I remember a time in a bathroom at a conference. Have I never told you this story?
No, you didn't tell me this story.
So the thing I want to talk to you about today is just how you've always made everything. You're so professional and you've made everything you've done a career, even though it wasn't necessarily an employment, right? So the reason I found you in a bathroom, not by purpose, I just ran into you at a bathroom at a conference and I had you in my head. I'm like, I want to talk to Stephanie Richardson when I go to this conference this year, because I want to talk to you about how you made direct selling, particularly, your full-time gig. I was in corporate America and I had such a passion and excitement for direct selling. And how did you do it? And you were so sweet. You were so wonderful. And you're like, well, bottom line, you need 2 parties a week. And that was it. And I remember sitting there going, and let's resume activities in the bathroom. And it's as easy as that, right? But back then, this was a long time ago when everything was in person. And I had 3 kids, small kids, and I had a husband, and that was just crazy. But it was so needed for me to hear, bottom line, this is what you got to do, or you got to be patient to let this work with your life and let it happen. And yeah, so thank you, whether you remember it or not. Thanks for that bathroom visit.
That's so funny. You remember that.
Because I was intentional. I watched you. I watched your success. So tell us your story. Who is Stephanie Richardson? What have you done in life, and where are you going? And how do you figure this out? How do you make it work?
So I started as a therapist, and I was a therapist for over 10 years. I was a licensed professional counselor. I started out working with children and their families, and then adolescents. I worked inpatient. I also worked with adults inpatient, residential treatment. I started an in-home counseling program. I was the first therapist in that program in Middle Tennessee, where I live. And that was an intense program where we went into people's homes and did counseling in their home with the entire family. So I ended up running that program and supervising 4 cities in the Middle Tennessee area of master's level therapists. And this was for a nonprofit, and I absolutely loved it. And it was very rewarding. And that's really where I started learning how to speak in front of people, because I was very nervous about getting up and doing training for our staff, which was part of my role. And I also was doing coaching with them. And so that has all morphed into what I do now. And so I was nervous about that. And I thought, well, I can be afraid of this for the rest of my life, the speaking in front of people part, or I can make myself get better at it by forcing myself to do it consistently. Enter direct sales. And I went to a party. I fell in love with the product. I thought I could do this on the side. I started because I wanted to pay off some credit card debt, like most Americans have. And it just seemed like it was flexible and I could work it around my work. And my work was very demanding. I was working about 70 hours a week in my job, and I was going to graduate school working on my doctorate 3 nights a week till about 10 o'clock at night. So I would work all day, I'd leave there and go to class. And then somewhere in between all of that, I started fitting in direct sales.
Right.
So that was the story of my life, was just juggling all of that initially. But what I loved about direct sales versus the counseling was I didn't have to think. And it was, what I mean by that, there wasn't all this pressure to make sure that a child wasn't suicidal or running away or getting, harming someone else. And it was a different type of business than what I was doing all day long. And so it gave me a break from that. And I loved it. And I loved the building relationships part with people in their home and connecting with them, seeing different homes. That's always fun. And just teaching ideas and sharing things to make things easier for them, for their family. So that I became very passionate about it. And that first year of my business, I saw the potential of what it had. And I paid off all of my credit card debt in that first year of my business. So I'd already met my goal. So it's now what, right? And so I saw the potential of what I could do with it financially for our family. And so I thought, wow, this is a pretty amazing gift. I need to take advantage of this. So I kept building that on the side while I was still working my full-time job as a therapist. And I did that for about 5 years. And then, like I said, pursued my doctorate and I did an internship at a mental health prison here in Nashville. And that was fascinating. And I think that along the way, the direct sales set me up and the counseling set me up for what I'm doing now. That it was just a good merger of all of my worlds. And so I continued to do direct sales. And then when my daughter was born, it was about 5 years into my direct sales business. I had already built it to where I was making a significant income, what most people would make in a full-time job on the side. And so it was less frightening to think about quitting my job because I knew I had that built. But I still wanted that security that most women want, right, and cried and prayed an entire weekend thinking, okay, God, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to leave corporate America and be home with my daughter and jump into this 100% commission job. This is what I'm supposed to do. And he said, yes. Have I not given you enough evidence that I am going to bless your business? I've blessed it enough already. And you should trust. And so I did. I went in and quit my corporate job and then made my direct sales career my full-time job. And so I still continue to do that. And has been 26 years now that I do the direct sales business.
Well, those people that know me, they know Pampered Chef is my direct sales business that I retired from last year. And that's exactly the same as yours, right? I mean, that's how we met. I always love listening to podcasts where they're secretive about the company they work for. I'm not about that. So yeah, Pampered Chef is exactly what you're talking about, getting in people's kitchens, getting in people's homes. So 26 years you've been with the Pampered Chef. You have this history as a therapist. You have the education, the degrees, right? So yeah, now keep going. Where else are you within the work that you get to do in life?
So about 5 years ago, I started thinking about how I was going to prepare for my daughter going to college. And being a single parent, as you mentioned, I knew that that was going to fall on my shoulders to take care of her college expenses. So I started thinking, well, what could I do? And God just showed up again in another time. And I was at a networking event, and this woman came up to me and she said, "Hey, Stephanie, why don't you have your own coaching business?" She said, "You have a background as a therapist, and that makes you different than most coaches. And you have all of this sales experience. You know how to grow people, you know how to develop people." And I said to her, "I don't know, never really thought about it." So that was the first, what I would call God instance. And then just maybe a couple months later, a friend of mine, I was actually her boss in the counseling world in corporate America, and we had become really close. We've known each other for over 20 years now, and we were pregnant at the same time, so we had that bond and going through that together. And she came over my house one day, and I thought she was just coming over to visit with me. I didn't know she had a plan. And she said, "Hey, I'm going to leave such and such company, and I'm going to start my own private practice." I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. That's amazing." I had done her licensure supervision hours and I'd worked really closely with her. And she said, "Yeah, but there's one problem. I hired this business coach and I don't like her." She said, "She doesn't know me the way you know me. She doesn't push me the way you push me. And I wanted to see if you would coach me in opening my private practice because I know you know how to run a business successfully." And I said, "Okay, but I don't have a coaching business. I don't know how much to charge you or anything." And she said, "Well, what if I just pay you what I was paying her?" And I said, "Okay, that's fine." And so that was the beginning of my coaching business, was my friend coming over and asking me to help her open her private practice.
Wow.
So at that point I started going to networking meetings and meeting people in the community and just showing up consistently and building relationships week after week, building trust. Because to be a coach, you really, people have to trust you because they tell you everything. They tell you, it's almost like therapy in a way. um, they tell you their struggles and their challenges and their wins and their innermost thoughts. And it takes time to build that trust with people. So I just started going to meetings and showing up and meeting with people one on one and letting them get to know me. And I wanted to get to know them. And that's really how it grew into what it is now. And so I have a coaching business I've had over 5 years, and I do coaching for a lot of CEOs of nonprofits and business owners and entrepreneurs, and also do the corporate speaking and training and team building and all of those things. So that has how everything has morphed. My counseling background and my sales background have morphed into this new career that I have with this coaching business.
I heard one time, and I like this, therapy or counseling is more like talking about the past, whereas coaching is
Yeah.
talking about the future.
Yes.
And here you
That's
are, you're both, right? So you agree with that.
I do agree with that. And I think that in counseling, you're looking at what happened in your past and how that affected you. And in coaching, you're looking at what are the goals you want to accomplish in the future, your personal, professional life, and then how can we get there? Now, there are times that I have had to go back and talk with clients about mindset from their past and how it's affected them today.
Yes. Yes, you're right. And I remember talking to you when you were first transitioning, not really transitioning because you still do both, right? You're just adding more abilities, more business to your background, and you had mentioned this, and I've definitely seen that as well throughout the years of being a coach, is you can't totally separate your past from your future, right? But yet to understand it differently with a future mindset, wow, there's so much power there.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. So, one of my clients grew up in a really large family, and the situation was really tight with money, and the mindset that was instilled in them as children affected this client of mine as a business owner, feeling valued and feeling like she was able to raise her rates where she had not raised her rates for several years, but feeling like she was valued by her clients and her customers. And some of that stemmed from some of the mindset that she grew up with. And there was a challenge of she was struggling to raise her rates. And I kept telling her she needed to raise her rates. But this mindset from her childhood kept popping up that was affecting, am I really worth it? Am I valuable enough? Do I provide enough value to my clients? And so that's the piece that I'm talking about. Yeah, we're not diving into what happened to you as a child, but mindset has definitely affected her ability as a business owner to really assess what her steps need to be.
And that's what I love the most, is to help people see it differently. It's not like it's time to blame your parents, like they gave you that mindset. That was just where life was. And that's
Right.
what I love most about you as well. This is thinking differently, where I love talking about how people think differently, but I've always watched you think so differently about everything, whether it's having multiple jobs or multiple businesses or doing something totally different than your therapy degree and going into sale. So not only have you jumped into it, but talk to us a little bit about your internal thoughts. How do you get yourself to kind of flow with the idea of thinking differently and embracing the different opportunities that you have and not getting kind of stuck in almost a paradigm of what you should do?
I think that a lot of that stems from just who I was as a child. I have always pushed myself. So many people only use a small percentage of what they're capable of doing.
Yes, I agree.
And I'll give you examples throughout my life. Okay. So when I was in high school, I ran track. I was a freshman running on a relay team with 3 seniors, which was a huge honor. I wanted to beat our school record. Guess what we did? We beat it twice. This is just how I am. I just want to, do something push myself a little harder, right? Graduate school. I was working on my doctorate and I got accepted to 2 different internships. One was more money and what I had been doing for many, many years, working with children. The other one was working in the mental health prison. Which one did I take?
The one that was a little more challenging?
Yes. So I took the one with less money and the mental health prison because it was new and different and I knew it would grow me, right? So those are some examples from when I was younger, but I continue to do that. I feel like now I'm always looking for ways to lead myself well and to push myself and try something new or different or scary. Or I I'm single. I do a lot of things around my house myself. I don't pay people to do them. I have just learned how to do them. And I'll go on YouTube, I'll research it, I'll figure it out. And one of my friends in my previous neighborhood used to joke with me all the time. And she said, Stephanie, you just you know how to do so many things. And I'm just amazed. And my daughter is the same way. She knows how to put things together and do things because she saw me do that. And I just, if I want to do something, I figure it out. I just push myself to figure it out and do it. And so that's what I did with direct sales too. I pushed myself to make it a full-time career so that when I had a child, I could be home with them and not put her in daycare and raise her with this amazing life that has been such a gift to her. If you were to ask her the best part of mom's job, she would probably say it's the 11 countries we've been to outside of the US that she has visited as a 21-year-old. That's huge. Most 21-year-olds can't say that. I pushed myself there. And I'm just always looking to grow myself. Another thing I do is I am a landlord, and I
Of course
have
you are.
I have pushed myself to do that in 2 locations. And so I have had to learn and adapt and really educate myself and just be open to where life is going to go and how I can grow and just lead myself well. Because if you can't lead yourself well, you can't lead other people, whether you're leading a sales team or a company or a family or whoever you're leading. Everyone's watching you, and it's important to lead yourself well.
So true, so true. You and I both, we do a lot of training and studying on behaviors, right? And what you're saying, oh, I'm all there. I 100% agree with where you're at. I mean, it's a mindset thing, but I also believe like you were born with a little bit of this competitiveness, this little bit of this edge in you, a little bit of the behaviors are part of your DNA. Do you think the people in the world that don't have this DNA, can they learn it?
I think that we have to tap into what is meaningful to people. And if something is meaningful to them, it will drive them and push them. So I think sometimes when people are unmotivated, it's because they haven't really figured out what everybody calls your why. What is your why? What drives you to get up in the morning? What drives you to get off the couch and take action versus staying stagnant and telling yourself you'll do that next week or you'll do that tomorrow, right? It's why I got up early this morning and worked on a keynote that I'm working on for 15 minutes just to say I need to spend 15 minutes doing this, right? It just pushes you and drives you when you have that clear why. And for me, initially in my direct sales business, it was getting out of debt. And that happened my first year. So then I had to figure out what was my new why. And your why is going to change as your life changes. And so then it was, when I have a child someday, I want to stay home with her. Well, I did that. Now she's in college. She's a senior in college. Well, what is my why now? My why now is to get her out of college with 0 student loans. And that's what drives me now. So when you really know what that is, we've heard this saying, I know you've heard it before, when the why is clear, the how is easy. And so when you know why you're doing something and what's driving you and motivating you, then the how, the action, the getting up this morning or whatever it might be, pushes you to do the thing that maybe is easy to let go to the side.
Yeah, I feel so convicted because my poor daughter left college with a little bit of debt. And here you are, single parent, working as a landlord and direct seller and coach and speaker and and then there's me, right? Who isn't I could do more. I could do more. So, you know internally who you are. You know what's ticking for you. What do you see the most in other people that they're lacking, that they're not able to get their dreams or their goals?
I think the biggest struggle I see with my coaching clients is limiting beliefs that they have about themselves. And maybe they haven't done something in the past, or they don't think they're capable of doing something, and they need someone to believe in them and help them with the tools and the resources to get there. So, for example, I have a client who is a financial planner, and he told me he had a goal that he wanted to be at the weight he was before they had children, which
Okay,
was
hold on.
9 years ago. Or
He said he wants, I mean, not she, right? Not the one who
right,
had
it's
the baby.
yeah. He said, I want to be the weight I was before we started having children in our home, because he wanted to not get winded when he was outside with them and exercising and hiking, and he wanted to be able to keep up with them as he gets older. And he told me the weight he wanted to be. He said, but honestly, I haven't been there in years. I don't know that I can do it. I said, yes, you can. And this is how we're going to do it. And I'm going to hold you accountable. And Kathy, he has kept, he got to that weight. He has kept it off for well over a year, has maintained it, and he has a different lifestyle now. And he eats healthy, he exercises, he goes on walks with his kids and does activities with them. And the change I have seen in him in that has affected his work positively as well, because he's more confident in himself. So he has branched out and tried some new career paths and new career things because of that, because he feels better about himself. He feels more confident. So I think a lot of times people have these beliefs about themselves that I'm not capable of this, or I don't deserve this, or I can't do this. And they just need someone to encourage them and believe in them and hold them accountable and speak truth into their life when they aren't doing the things, and really just be there along that journey with them, and they can do it. But so many people go at it alone.
Ooh.
And I think that that's why a lot of people don't reach their goals, is they expect that they have to rely on just themselves. And you and I both know the power of a coach, of having that accountability partner. It forces you to, in a positive way, to stretch outside of your comfort zone. It forces you to take action when you might let yourself off the hook otherwise. And a lot of CEOs, a lot of business owners are the person at the top, and there's no one above them to hold them accountable. And so it's a very lonely place to be at the top. And so a coach can really help someone have that sounding board, have that person for accountability to help them reach their goals.
Yeah, being in the same career as you, we know the power, right? But there's this like level of pride that we do have to encourage people to let go of. We can't do it alone. Don't stop trying. Stop trying to do it alone. Partner with people to be, I hate this quote, but I've been saying it a lot lately, to be the best version of yourself, right?
Right.
I hate the quote because what in the world does that mean? But
Right.
I heard another quote a few weeks ago. Pastor Stephen Furtick said it. He said, self-development or personal development, exactly what you do in life, what we do in life, all that really is a path to self-discovery. And
Mm.
when we can discover about ourselves, that's when we become a better version, right? That's when we kind of up level ourselves. That's where it gets so exciting to be in the career choice that we're in, because truly we're watching people grow exactly where they want to be.
And when you see people have that increased awareness and insight, it's so rewarding.
Yep, I agree. I agree. It's like people pay me to do this. But it's so much rewarding on this end as well to watch that success. Okay, so what's next for you? Like what because I heard you kind of say earlier, you went to the internship in the mental health, industry or mental health facility because it was going to be a challenge. It was going to help you grow. So I kind of hear like maybe you get bored a little bit with, I already worked with kids, so let's go do something different. So what's your do you know, or do you just let life guide you and open doors? I mean, I can see you doing both, right?
So I'm really enjoying the landlord part of my life. And that's not something I want to do full time, but it's something that I want to expand upon. And I have two homes that I have renters in, and I would love to add more homes and do more of that. And I rent a lot to travel nurses and also college students right now, which is where my daughter is. But I would love to expand that because I'm enjoying that. So that's one thing I'd like to do in the future. I want to continue to speak and do keynotes and training and team building and coaching. I love that. It's fresh and new. I want to write a book, and one of my friends said to me, I have an ebook, but one of my friends said to me, Stephanie, you need to write a book. And I said, okay, what do I need to write it on? And she said, you have had such financial success as a single mom. And there's so many single moms out there that need to hear all the tips and tricks and things that you did that were a different way of thinking, like you said, that helped you raise your daughter the way that you raised her, with no debt and no student loans, and just all the things that you taught her and how you lived. That's what she's encouraging me to do. So that's on my radar as well.
That's good. That's good.
So we'll see if that comes about. But I am very passionate about helping people get out of debt. There are a couple of my clients that I've actually helped hold accountable to getting 100% out of debt. One of them is another single mom, and she's a nurse practitioner. And I've known her for years from church, and she is debt free, and she's just amazing. I've just been so proud of her. I mean, and her kids are coming out of college with no student loans too. So it's powerful when you can transform someone's life in such a small, you feel like you have such a small piece of it, but you see how it impacts the family.
Right. Right. Something else I hear you saying as well is the people that you choose to hang around, they're the ones who are encouraging you. They're the ones who are keeping you accountable. They're challenging you. That matters. Our inner circle, our outer circle, it matters who we hang around, because we do become somewhat maybe the habits of who they are as well. So, I appreciate all these little tidbits that I hear you saying, but you're not purposely saying it. It's just observing your life and kind of knowing you for years, right? And seeing how you operate within the businesses that you work. So, you know what? I want to thank you for being a role model to me, because like I said in the beginning, I've been watching you from afar for years. I'm so glad that we do stay connected, right? I'm so glad that we do have the relationship to get to know each other deeper than just the bathroom stalking that I did years ago.
Well, your friendship is very valuable to me, and you push me and challenge me, and coaches need coaches too. And
Yeah.
so it's it's been great just having you as a sounding board and accountability partner. So thank you for everything you do for me.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Okay, for all of our listeners here and for this future book that's going to come out and whatever else is coming out, how can people stay connected with you?
So my name of my business is called Unlock Your Potential. And so my Facebook business page is Unlock Your Potential with Stephanie. So that would be one place to connect with me. And then also on LinkedIn, I'm Coach Stephanie Richardson on the URL. So that would be another great place to connect with me. And I do a weekly video. I have a YouTube channel. It's Steph Richardson 1. If somebody would like to subscribe, then there's a video I do weekly that is motivational, inspirational, makes you think. I'd love for you to join me there and just follow me there as well.
I love your weekly videos. It comes in a newsletter, but I love them because they make you think. They're short and sweet. Nothing too big, but we need those little voices in our head, every whatever morning that comes through. So
Yes.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anything else? Any other thoughts on how you think differently that you think would be valuable for people to hear?
I think the last thing I would just share with people is just to challenge them to have a plan for their personal growth and to make sure that they are intentional about doing things each week that are growing them. So there are several podcasts I listen to each week. There's reading that I do each week. I take a John Maxwell course on the website each week. There's several things that I do to purposely grow myself. I even listen to a landlord podcast.
That's awesome. I love it.
Because I need to feed my brain and grow and learn. And so I think that we just have to be intentional about planning that time, getting ready in the morning, listening to something, or driving from one meeting to another, listening to something, and just use the time that you have wisely, and it will really help you grow.
I always used to think that when I'm listening to podcasts, because I like the content, I want to take notes. I should only listen at my computer when I have my notepad ready. And you know what? No, there's so much other time in our day. I like how you said, while you're getting ready in the morning or while you're driving, and I might not capture it in note taking, but it's up here and it's going to marinate and develop and become what it needs to become, even though I never wrote it down. So thanks for reaffirming. I have a new bathroom fan that is Wi-Fi or Bluetooth with my phone. Yeah, so here I am in the shower listening to podcasts. It's beautiful.
I do that too. I'm guilty of that as well.
Sometimes for us to get what we want in life, we have to get kind of extreme and crazy, right?
True.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing your time with me today. And I know I have a lot of little notes that I'm taking, so I'm definitely growing and learning from you. And I'm sure everybody else will be too. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a joy visiting with you.